So we'll begin with today's Ellen's keynotes study streak. There are three remedies we'll be discussing. The first remedy is China officinalis. So in Allen's keynotes, the first line that is always mentioned is about the constitution. So China as a constitution, it will be suited to people who are stout, swarthy persons and those who had good built up of their body but they have become debilitated by the disease. So for systems once robust which have become debilitated or broken down from exhausting discharges. And the other remedy mentioned is carbovage. So it is very similar, carbovage and China, and in many cases you will have this differentiation to do of understanding China and carbovage, and there are various points that you should keep in mind to differentiate. Next we have is mental generals from Allen's keynotes, and China as a personality is mentioned as apathetic, indifferent, taciturn, despondent, gloomy, has no desire to live but lacks the courage to commit suicide. Now this is the extreme end which is mentioned, which comes after so many years of struggle and the constitution is broken down. But if you see, the remedy belongs to the Rubiaceae family, and Rubiaceae family is known for its active and alert mode, its vivaciousness, its quick to act nature. So China as a remedy, in many people you will see, will have more liveliness, more activeness, more more bright people who make ideas, who are very creative, who are in the animation field, who are in the graphic designing field, who work in the night time. They like to develop all these newer and newer ideas and ways of succeeding with their products and their designs at night. So in Allen's keynotes, the opposite spectrum is mentioned, which is apathetic, indifferent, taciturn. Now this stage comes when there is more of lack of ability to maintain the constitution at a level where it should perform those activities, and it has a long period of struggle, like the remedy phosphoric acid. So if you know the way the remedy has evolved over a period of time, the way a person has evolved over a time, then you will be in a better position to prescribe. But just thinking about prescribing on whatever conditions and whatever indications have been mentioned will be a bit unfair justice for the remedy. Next you have is ailments from loss of vital fluids, especially hemorrhages, excessive lactation, diarrhea, suppuration, like the remedy chininum sulph, of malarial origin with marked periodicity which return every day. So China as a remedy is suited to malaria and malaria like cases, and if you are staying in an area where malarial fevers are very frequently seen, you should think of this remedy. But there is a typical pattern of fever which China will have, and in this Allen's keynote study streak I may not be able to cover it. That is why I have tried to put everything about fevers in a separate workshop, which you can definitely join. And this fever workshop will have many things about the pattern of fevers in different remedies, their indications from the materia medica, from the repertory, and all this also will be studied from the different cases. Also, you will see before after reports, before after images, patient testimonials, and a pro forma which you need to follow in fevers. It can be prodrome, it can be chill, heat, sweat, where you will focus, in which case what you will focus on. That will be covered in that workshop of fevers. So those who wish to join, they can join. But for the moment, to understand that China works in all malarial cases is a very broad terminology. To break it down and understand how will it work and what will be the indications needs to be studied separately. Then you have in Allen's keynotes for China, after climatic with profuse hemorrhage, acute diseases often result in dropsy. Disposition to hemorrhage from every orifice of the body, concomitants are ringing in the ears, fainting, loss of sight, general coldness, sometimes also convulsions. Same situation is seen in ferrum and phosphorus as well. Pains are of drawing and tearing in every joint, all the bones, periosteum as if strained or sore all over, as if it is beaten. Some people will tell that they have a feeling that the body is as if injured. You will feel that there is a compositive family trait which is coming, but this can be a symptom of China as well. And he needs to move frequently to feel better, because motion gives him relief, and it is renewed by contact, aggravated by contact, and then gradually it increases to height. So this is all about pains of China, different types of pain in different remedies, and based upon the pains which the patients will describe in clinic, you can decide those remedies as well. So then we have great debility, 3-4 times or 10 times or 100 times and 1000 times you will have the mention of debility. But you will need to understand what the debility of China is and what part it affects the most. So there is trembling, the patient is averse to exercise, he is sensitive to touch, to pain, to drafts of air, and the entire nervous system is sensitive. So if you see and study the malarial fevers, if you study the malarial conditions, you will see that the chills begin from the spinal system, from the spinal cord, from the nervous system, which is where the China will also act. And that is what you need to classify the remedies into different categories: nervous remedies or functional remedies, pathological remedies, the ones that act on certain nerves, certain organs, etc., etc., and make your own groupings and classifications based upon what you wish to see in your clinics and practice. This will come after a certain time, but every homeopath reaches that point and starts developing his own methodology, and that should be the aim of every homeopath, because you need to be individualistic in your practice. Individualization will start from case taking. You need to make your individual own materia medica, own pointers for certain remedies, for certain diseases, and individual way of looking at repertory and studying the repertory. Potency, prescriptions, repetitions, all these you need to individualize. You can learn from someone. There are thousands and thousands of homeopaths and you can learn from everyone, but in clinic, when you go down and you start practicing, you will need to develop your own methods. So going further, in China we have from the Allen's keynotes, unrefreshing sleep or constant sopor feeling. So there is a constant sleepiness or there will be unrefreshing sleep. Aggravated after 3 a.m. wakes up early. Hemorrhage of mouth, nose, bowels or uterus long continued. Longing for sour things. Pains are aggravated by slightest touch but better by hard pressure. Based upon this symptom, in one of the cases of acute viral fever where there were platelet counts almost 70,000 and the patient was deteriorating, within a day the counts improved to 1,50,000. How it happened, where it happened, I've included that case in the fever workshop, and it will be a treat to watch for you all. So the other two remedies which are mentioned for pains which are aggravated by slightest touch, better by hard pressure, capsicum and plumbum are the other two remedies. Headache in China is as if the skull would burst, intense throbbing of the head, carotids are flushed and face is also flushed, and from the occiput to the whole head, aggravated by sitting or lying, must stand or walk. After hemorrhage or sexual excesses, headache increases. Then you have face which is pale, hypocritic, eyes are sunken, surrounded by blue margins, pale, sickly expression as after excesses have debilitated him, and toothache while nursing the child. Gastrointestinal system, you have excessive flatulency of the stomach and the bowels, fermentation, borborygmus which is noise from the bowels, belching gives no relief. If the belching relieves, the remedy is carbo-veg. If it does not give relief, it is China. But you can confirm one more thing for China, and that one more thing is that patient feels better in stomach complaints, in gastric complaints by walking about. There is no energy to walk, but this no energy to walk comes at a later stage when he is debilitated by discharges. If there are no discharges happen, then there will be no debility, and in those cases you will have to think about other ways to prescribe, other ways to adapt to this modality in your indication of China. So China will have bloatedness better by movement, boric, materia medica, stomach chapter, last line you will find this interesting symptom. Aggravated by eating fruit is very indicative of China. The other remedy is pulsatilla. Colic at certain hour each day, so there is a kind of a periodicity which you will see whether in complaints of headache, sinusitis, gastric complaints, fevers, body pains, spinal cord pains, anywhere there will be periodicity, and you will see that there is periodical pains each day from gallstones, like the remedy Cardus marianus. Worse at night and after eating, better by bending double, which is what we also see in colocynth. Extremities, we see that one hand is icy cold and the other hand is warm. Digitalis, ipecac and pulsatilla are the other remedies. In fact, if you study pulsatilla, you will understand that pulsatilla has one-sidedness. There will be one-sided affections, or one side will be having heat or partial heat, and other side will be cold or lukewarm to feel. One side will have sweat, other side will not have sweat. This is the characteristic indication of pulsatilla. If you ever happen to find it, it's going to open up your case if it is stuck up, and if it is not stuck up, and if you are giving it primarily the first medicine, it's going to make you happy and the patient too. Next we have is fever in China. Intermittent fever, paroxysms anticipate from 2 to 3 hours after each attack, like the remedy chininum sulph. Returns every 7 or 14 days, never at night. Sweats profusely all over or on being covered or during sleep, like the remedy conayam. Aggravation from slightest touch, draught of air every other day, mental emotions, loss of vital fluids. Amelioration from hard pressure, bending double. Relationships, we see complementary relationship very strongly. It is related to ferrum metallicum, and it follows calcarea phos very well in hydrocephaloid conditions. If you need to compare this remedy in cases of fever, you can do so with chininum sulph, or you can alternate it with chininum sulph based upon whatever indications you find very strongly. And you have incompatibility with digitalis and selenium. If patients have been drinking excess tea, if they crave a lot of tea, think of thuja. If they have bad effects from tea, think of thuja. You can also think of China, which is one of the top remedies for bad effects of drinking tea, or chamomile tea, which is very popular in other parts of the world, and also if the hemorrhage has happened. So next we come to is the remedy ferrum metallicum, which is one of the relative remedies of China officinalis. And when we read the first line from ferrum metallicum, you see that it is mentioned that persons of a sanguine temperament who are pettish, who are quarrelsome, who are disputative and easily excited. So all those cases, when they land up in your clinic and you ask them, tell me about your nature, and they will tell you, I am very snappish, I get angry very soon. Ferrum met should be given a thought. Patients are not going to land in your clinic and tell you that I am very angry at trivial things, so take the rubric anger trifles at. It will be a subtle expression you will have to pick up from the words that they tell you. And that is the secret of picking up these small things in the clinic conversations. No one is going to come and tell you that I belong to this rubric, pick this rubric, give me this medicine. But you will need to subtly understand and then prescribe. Easily excited persons who aggravate by least contradiction. Someone telling me wrong, I don't like it, I immediately answer back. That is my nature. I don't keep it for later stage. Whereas Natram will tell you that I do feel bad. I keep in my mind. I think over it. After 2-3 days I will reply. For 2 days I will just think about it. I'll think what to answer, how to answer. I'll keep on munching on that thought, on that entire conversation. Then I'll come to a conclusion and then I will reply. Ferrum metallicum will reply on the spot, straight away, right away. Anacardium, cocculus and ignatia are also very similar. You will need to differentiate based upon other particulars. Better from mental exertion is a very key modality for ferrum metallicum. Irritability from slightest noises like the remedy Asafoetida europaeum or Tarantula hispania, like the crackling of paper which drive him to despair. Women who are weak, delicate, chlorotic and have a fiery red face. So all those people who land in your clinic and who always tell that, in anger I get face which is red, or if I am very excited I get reddish hues on my face, or the relatives may tell you. Sometimes the patient don't observe these things. In those cases you can think of ferrum metallicum, think of sanguinaria, think of those remedies which have false plethora. This is a false plethora. Extreme paleness of the face, lips, mucous membranes which become red and flushed on least pain, emotion or exertion, and there is blushing. Okay, amyl nitrosum and coca are the other two close remedies. Erythetic chlorosis, worse in winter. Red parts become white, face, lips, tongue and mucous membrane of the mouth. Hemorrhagic diathesis, blood is bright red, coagulates easily. Ferrum phos, ipecac and phosphorus are very strong. Now this is a kind of a indication to help you prescribe in cases where there are blood disorders, and this can be kept in mind, and you can check the prothrombin time, and if it is very less you can have the indication for ferrum metallicum. Whatever be the condition, if it is mentioned, it is going to help you heal all those patients who are stuck up with certain blood disorders. Always feels better by walking slowly about, although weakness obliges the patient to lie down. So there is a very similarity of certain weakness complaints of China and ferrum metallicum. But what we see in ferrum met is that he needs to walk, he feels better by slowly walking about, whereas China will not at all walk except in gastric complaints. Next you have is dropsy, which is after the loss of vital fluids. Abuse of quinine suppressed intermittent. Carbovage and China are the other two medicines. Vertigo with balancing sensation as if on water, on seeing the flowing water, when walking over the water, as when crossing a bridge. So these people are really scared to cross bridge or water bodies. They get vertigo. Sometimes you will be able to pick this up, or you can use this symptom as a confirmatory tool for prescribing ferrum metallicum. Just like how we confirm fear of dogs or fear of dark, company desire for or company aversion to, for some remedies, you can keep these also indicators for ferrum metallicum in mind. Similar other remedy which has aggravation of vertigo when crossing a bridge is lycinum, and if it is more on descending, it is borax and sanicula. We have also seen in many other remedies. Headache which is hammering, beating, pulsating pains must lie down with aversion to eating or drinking for 2, 3, 4 days or every 2 to 3 weeks is the aggravation for head complaints for ferrum metallicum. Then you have cough which is only in the daytime, better by lying down. Better by lying down and cough at night is causticum. Cough better by lying down anytime in the day or night is ferrum metallicum. If it is also better by eating, it is spongia and ferrum metallicum. And if it is cough only in the daytime, it is ferrum metallicum and euphrasia. Regurgitation of food and irritations of food in the mouthfuls, like the remedy alumina, which is the next complementary remedy to ferrum metallicum that we are going to discuss. But the key feature over here is that there is no nausea as such. Canine hunger or loss of appetite with extreme dislike for food, vomiting immediately after midnight, off ingesta as soon as the food is eaten, leaves the table suddenly with one effort, vomits everything eaten, can sit down and eat again, sour and acid vomiting. Lyco and sulfuric acid are very close to these indications, and you will have a tough time to handle patients who have vomiting, especially if it is more of a hysterical vomiting or vomiting after midnight, where barely any other modalities are available. In your materia medica, you will come to one after the other remedies, but if you open the repertory and see vomiting after midnight, you will have a lot of remedies, and that is going to confuse you. So you will have to understand and prescribe ferrum metallicum based on other indications rather than just picking up from vomiting on aggravation on midnight. Diarrhea, which is there in ferrum metallicum, in Allen's keynotes it's mentioned that there is undigested stools at night or while eating or drinking, like the remedy croton tick. So when in future we will discuss about Boger synopticki, which I plan to also undertake as a series of remedies to discuss, I will share a very beautiful case of croton tick. The whole family had diarrhea, and what beautiful indications were there and how beautifully they recovered on croton tick. It was a treat to watch, and I could give result in 6 to 8 hours, stop their diarrhea which were happening overnight for 10 to 15 times a night. It was a miracle for me and earned a good name. So in ferrum metallicum we can see that there is undigested stools. Stools are passed as it is from the gastric tract, like they have been eaten in the same form, and they, even though they have good appetite, they will have painless diarrhea, and of people who are having tuberculosis or chest complaints. Then you have constipation from intestinal atony, ineffectual urging, stools are hard, difficult, followed by backache or cramping pain in the rectum, prolapsus recti of children, itching of anus at night. In fact, only symptom over here you see is itching of anus mentioned at night. But ferrum metallicum is a very good remedy for worms, and in wormy children you should give it as an intercurrent. You can give it as ferrum metallicum 6 or 12 potency 3 times a day or 4 times a day, for few days and follow it up with a dose of skirinum, and you will definitely see the worms come out. Next you have is complaints of female reproductive system, menses which are too early, too profuse, too long lasting with fiery red face, ringing in the ears, intermit 2 or 3 days and then return. Flow is pale, watery, debilitating. Aggravation at night, at rest, especially while sitting still. Amelioration from walking slowly about, and amelioration also in summer. You can see ferrum metallicum is very complementary to alumina and china. This is mentioned in Allen's keynotes, and the next remedy which we will take up is alumina. So before proceeding, in Allen we see that many places they have mentioned that these remedies are vegetable analogues. So similarly you see that china is a vegetable analog of ferrum metallicum and it follows well in most of the complaints. So next we go to the remedy alumina from Allen's keynotes, and if you see this remedy you can understand that it is adapted to persons who suffer from chronic diseases, and it is the aconite of chronic diseases. Constitutions which are deficient in animal heat, like the remedy calcarea carb or silica, they will always need to have covers, or they will always need to cover up themselves up. This is what it means when constitutions deficient in animal heat is mentioned. So it is something like people cannot bear coldness in least forms, and that is what indicates you to think of calcarea carb, silica and alumina. In fact, the top remedy should actually be sorinum, but you cannot say that there is deficient lack of vital heat or animal heat over there. It's just a sensitivity which is there. But constitutions which are deficient in animal heat or vital heat which should be there is calcarea carb, silica, alumina and a few other remedies also you will see. You have the constitution which is spare, dry, thin subjects which have a dark complexion and they have a mild constitution, cheerful disposition and hypochondriacs. So all those people who keep on reading what medicines they should take, they keep on doing Ayurvedic medications by themselves by reading up on the internet or anything else they buy over the counter from the chemist, they should be thought of giving alumina. Also the other remedies are calcarea, pulsatilla, nux vomica. This comes from the repertorial law language and repertorial rubrics that I know of. Then you have time passes too slowly, an hour seems like half a day. This is also there in cannabis indica. Inability to walk except with the eyes open, and in the daytime tottering and falling while closing eyes, argentum nitricum and gelsemium. Similar presentation we also saw in theridion. Then you have abnormal appetite, craving for starch, chalk, charcoal, cloves or tea grounds, acids and indigestible things, like the remedies cicuta and sorinum. And you see that there is a very strong indication which we all memorize for our academic point of view, which is potatoes disagree. At times you will get this very easily, at times it will be difficult, but what is easy to find is that alumina craves for acids or indigestible things, which is very easy to pick up in clinical practice. All irritating things, especially salt, wine, pepper, vinegar, immediately produce cough. And like we saw in ferrum met and china, alumina also has fatigue from least talking, or he must sit down when he is too faint and too tired. Then you have chronic irritations for ears which are worse, especially in the evening, constipation with no desire and no ability to pass the stools until there is a large accumulation, like the remedy melilotus. Now melilotus is a remedy which acts more on the head aspect of the human nature or human body, but it's mentioned over here for constipation also. So you can see how the different remedies are mentioned in different locations for different conditions contrary to or not known to us from their basic nature. And that is the beauty of reading the remedies in comparison, you will get to study the remedies in a different light and different perspective from different angles. Then you have in constipation of alumina from Allen's keynotes that he has to strain a lot. He must grasp the seat of the closet tightly. The stools are very hard, knotty like laurel berries and covered with mucus or soft clay which adhere to the parts. Similar presentation we also see in the remedy platina. Inactivity of the rectum, even soft stool requires great straining, so it kind of becomes a habit of the mucous membrane to keep pushing, and that is what affects alumina as a remedy for those regions, that the parts become habitual to do that stuff which it was doing earlier because of some issues, but it gets developed the habit of doing it again and again. So you have similar presentations of inactivity of rectum also in anacardium, platina, silica and veratrum. Then you have constipation of nursing children from artificial food. So you have these bottle fed babies, lactogen, Cerelac, which the mothers are feeding. If the children develop constipation, think of alumina as one of the first remedies before any other remedies. Constipation of old people, think of alumina. Think also of lyco and opium in constipation of old people, constipation of pregnancy, and from inactive rectum, think of sepia and alumina. Now there are two symptoms which come next, but they are quite contradictory to each other. Number one is diarrhea when she urinates and has to strain at stool in order to urinate. So it's quite opposite, that sometimes there are complete laxity of the sphincters of the anal canal, sometimes there is complete fixity of the anal canal sphincters. So that is the opposites that you should keep in mind, and when such symptoms appear in clinic, you should think of prescribing these remedies. Next you have is leukorrhea, which is A grade profuse, running down to the heels like the remedy syphilinum, worse during the daytime, better by cold bathing. After menses, alumina is very exhausted physically and mentally, and he is scarcely able to speak. We know about Cocculus doing the same for different patients, and also it's there in Carbo animalis. Dry, tetary, itching eruptions, worse in winter, like the remedy petroleum, and intolerable itching of the whole body when getting warmth in bed, like the remedy sulfur, and scratches until it bleeds and becomes painful. So when I read the skin of alumina, there is a very funny anecdote which comes to my mind, and I would like to share that with you. Something interesting happened when I was learning with my guru Dr. Sarang Rahalkar in Nashik, where I graduated from, and I was attending his OPD, and there came a patient with skin complaints, and there was intolerable itching, and he told that he also has acidity, and he feels better, and he feels better by eating something in this acidity. So my sir asked me that, since now you are attending the clinic since the past 2-3 months, tell me what is the remedy. And I told him that, sir, if there is intolerable itching and all, I can only think of sulfur right now, because that's the limited knowledge that I have. So my sir prescribed alumina, and he told me that read Allen's keynotes and come. I read Allen's keynotes. Then after a few days, there came another patient with lot of itching throughout the body, hands and legs and everywhere, and there were some patches of eczema also, and the patient complained of lot of acid peptic disorder, and he told that every now and then I need to eat. That is the only thing which makes me feel better. It's not that one time I eat and I feel better. I need to eat every time and I feel better. So I told, sir, you gave alumina to this person last few days ago, so I think for this patient also you should give. So sir told me, no, it's not alumina, it's petroleum. Go and read alumina and come. So I read alumina, I read petroleum, I read sulfur. All the three remedies I read word to word, corner to corner, full stop to full stop. Next is, after few days, another patient came and he told that he has some, you know, acid peptic disorder, gastroesophageal reflux, lot of burning in the chest, and also need to constantly eat. Also at night he comes back home from work at night and he starts eating. He will sleep and he will get up and also pass urine and take something to eat because he feels hungry. And he also had a lot of skin troubles which were bothering him since a long time. So I told, sir, you had given alumina and petroleum to one of the patients a few weeks ago. So again, I think there must be petroleum which is indicated. So my teacher told me that it's not petroleum, neither it is alumina, it is sorinum. Go and read Allen's keynotes. So all these three remedies were very similar in all the three conditions, but every time it kept on changing. So what was the difference is that alumina has regurgitation and feels better by eating only once. It will not keep on eating again and again. Petroleum will keep on having the food again and again, whereas sorinum will keep on having food again and again, or it will especially have food or desire for hunger at midnight or at the night time. So if you are able to understand those characteristics, your job to study and apply Allen's keynotes becomes very easy. And that is what I learned that day. After understanding about sorinum, I went back through all the previous two cases and it opened up my understanding of alumina and petroleum. And that's the beauty of understanding and learning three similar remedies with similar presentations, but how small things will differentiate and you will pick it up from your clinical expertise and understanding of the patient symptoms. That is very crucial. So coming to an end of alumina, which we have aggravation from cold air during winter, while sitting from eating potatoes. Although you see that something was about potato is very much markedly mentioned everywhere, you should keep in mind. After eating soup also aggravates, and on alternate day is aggravation for alumina. At new moon or full moon is aggravation for alumina. Amelioration from mild summer weather from warm drinks, better while eating. Also you see in the remedy sorinum. Amelioration in wet weather like causticum is present in alumina as well. So you see alumina as a whole remedy to prescribe constitutionally based upon the indications and key physical generals and particulars you should keep in mind. It follows well and is complementary to bryonia, and it is very much good complementary remedy to sulfur and cases. Alumina actually is the chronic of bryonia, we know about it. And in cases of old people, you should think of top three remedies: alumina, conaium and barytacam. Whatever be their complaints, these three remedies are going to somewhere or the other cover the symptoms of the patients. It can be skin, it can be gastric, it can be gastric acid peptic disorder or headache or any other symptom. So that brings us to the end of today's Allen's keynote study split. We meet again tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. with new set of remedies. Meanwhile, if anyone have any questions about materia medica, repertory, or some of your cases which you wish to discuss, please feel free to drop a comment and I would best answer to my abilities. And meanwhile, if anyone would like to register for the upcoming fever workshop, there is a number mentioned all across in my different profiles on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. You can go through it and join the fever workshop as early as possible, because it's going to be an exciting learning, and the early you book your seats, the better your chances for studying, because There is a WhatsApp group created, and we'll be starting to share cases soon for you to understand how it's going to help. So that brings us to the end of today's class, today's study streak of Allen's notes. And if there are no questions, we make a move and meet tomorrow evening again at same time around 5:15 and start with the next set of remedies.